The Trump administration's newly imposed tariffs are set to go into effect Tuesday. This comes after the president signed an executive order yesterday declaring an economic emergency to take the action. President Donald Trump's new tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China have both political and economic risks. However, many voters back Trump on the promise that he could bring down inflation, but the tariffs could trigger higher prices and potentially disrupt the energy, auto, lumber, and agricultural sectors.
Be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
I think Americans who are concerned about increased prices should look at what President Trump did in his first term.
Studies, however, have repeatedly shown that Trump's first-term tariffs hit American companies and consumers the hardest. The countries where the goods originate don't pay the tariff. Rather, it's the companies or consumers buying the imports. A country where a tariff is imposed can be negatively affected if a business decides to buy products elsewhere, resulting in less demand. Even some of Trump's allies are coming out against the move. Senator Rand Paul posted to social media yesterday, "Tariffs are simply taxes. Conservatives once united against new taxes. Taxing trade will mean less trade and higher prices." And those tariffs could have major impacts in the Commonwealth since Canada, Mexico, and China are among the top 5 destinations for Kentucky exports. These price hikes could have an even greater impact on your grocery bill. WHAS11's Clary Shaley reports.
Tomatoes and avocados at Rainbow Blossom stores.
They're going to be on sale starting Wednesday.
But not for long, with Trump administration tariffs set to go into effect. 25% on goods from Mexico and Canada and 10% on China. The tariffs are an effort by the president to put pressure on countries and to boost manufacturing and revenue for the United States government.
There's not a whole lot that we can do to sort of prepare or stock up. We kind of just have to roll with the changes.
Changes that could impact what you buy for the Super Bowl.
So if you want to have guacamole at your Super Bowl party, and you want to use avocados, and Kroger is paying more to get those avocados, they're going to pass that cost on to you.
There's a lot of produce that comes from Mexico, including tomatoes and avocados, but lemons also are from Mexico, along with limes.
We can only do so much. That's why we get so much from Mexico in the first place, is because they have the growing region for it.
With prices going up, the burden could fall on the consumer.
I may eat less of them. Yeah, if they became $10, I would probably be irritated, but that wouldn't stop me from buying one or two.
Kentucky lawmakers like Democratic U.S. Representative Morgan McGarvey says the tariffs will impact many different sectors.
This is going to hurt us. These broad tariffs shouldn't happen. And I think we're going to see it raise the prices of everything from avocados to lumber to gas.
Back in the grocery stores,
We're definitely going to look for ways to keep our prices down.
owners and customers bracing for the impacts.
If these tariffs affect people's decisions about what they're eating, then it's not ultimately very good for their health.
In Louisville, Clary Shaley, WHAS 11 on your side.
Other products that could be impacted include clothes, electronics, cars, and even the price of your gas. Tariffs on crude oil imports could lead to gas prices raising by as much as 70 cents per gallon. Some experts say American families could pay $830 more on average this year because of these new tariffs. Trump's move to combat this, threatening to spark a trade war.
If tariffs are implemented against Canada, we will respond. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has responded to the move, saying officials in her government will implement tariff and non-tariff measures against the U.S. The NTSB and the FAA are investigating the 2 major aircraft crashes this week, one in Washington, D.C. and the other in Philadelphia. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has the latest details on both of those crashes.
We're learning more about the fiery plane crash in Philadelphia, where a Learjet operating as a medical ambulance crashed moments after takeoff on Friday.
The aircraft climbed to about 1,500 feet above the ground. The entire flight lasted less than a minute.
Investigators say they're still gathering the debris from the wreckage and searching for the plane's cockpit voice recorder.
There is substantial impact on the entire community. The debris field extends 4 or 5 blocks.
This small Learjet 55, an air ambulance, was headed to Tijuana with a stop in Missouri with 2 passengers and 4 crew members on board, all Mexican nationals. The passengers, a mother and her child, a patient at Shriners Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. This crash coming just 2 days after an American Airlines plane collided with a military Black Hawk helicopter in Washington, D.C. The NTSB sharing that the helicopter was on a training mission.
We can verify it was on a training flight that would utilize night vision goggles.
Investigators recreating the final minutes of the flight. At around 8:43, the jet's pilots told to land on a shorter runway. The Black Hawk helicopter now also making its way up the Potomac River. About 2 minutes later, air traffic control alerting the helicopter to that jet's approach. At roughly 8:47, asking the Black Hawk pilots to again confirm they see the jet.
At 8:47:58, the crew had a verbal reaction, and FDR data showed the airplane beginning to increase its pitch. Sounds of impact were audible about 1 second later, followed by the end of the recording.
In all, 67 lives were lost in the accident. The 64 passengers and crew aboard that American Airlines flight and 3 soldiers in the Black Hawk. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Reagan National Airport.
The Army Corps of Engineers says it will begin removing the jet and helicopter wreckage from the Potomac River tomorrow. That's expected to be completed by February 12th.